What's the most annoying sales tactic you've experienced? Story 1 Telemarketer. Hello there. I'm calling in relation to your recent traffic accident. No, I actually don't drive, nor do I own a car. Cue awkward silence. Telemarketer. Are you sure? Edit. Wow guys, who knew so many of you could relate? Telemarketers. Walking through a shopping center, desk with woman standing in front of it. Her. Would you like to help disabled people? I pause. No, I don't want to help disabled people, i.e. a trap question that I recognized immediately. Story 2 I submitted my resume to a job application, then a few days later got a phone call back. The lady stated that she was calling regarding my recent application and started asking me questions about my current employment, past education and what industries I wanted to work in. I assumed this was some sort of on the phone interview, so I was being super polite and answering all the questions. 45 minutes later she suggests that I take an online course to better help my chances of getting a job in the future. The fake job used my info to try and sell me shitty online classes. I was so mad. Story 3 So in Beijing, outside the Forbidden City, there are a bunch of people trying to sell you those red decoration thingies. There are so many of them blocking the path, so you just have to push past all of them. The funny thing was that there was someone with a megaphone constantly yelling, "Don't trust these people. They are all fake." Story 4 Oh, this just happened. I have a blog that has a pretty consistent readership of geeky types. I sometimes get emails asking me to plug online casinos for a small payment. I never take them up. I see it as dishonest and they let it drop after one rejection, but this one guy this week is really pushing it, trying to convince me that it's not a promotion. It's just a normal article that happens to contain a link to a major casino. Hell, pay me 50 but wants to proofread the draft first. I explained that I wasn't interested, but he kept telling me that it's not really promoting gambling and this and that, so I wrote the article. I just emailed it to him, his casino client and the agency he works for. Hope he likes it. Edit. Holy, thanks for the gold. I'm glad you enjoyed the feature. I had a lot of fun writing it. Crazy though, started on Reddit a year ago and suddenly 2 gilded posts in 12 hours. Today is my day. Update. Harry has not yet responded. We're on opposites of the planet, so he may not have seen it. We'll update when there's a response. 12-hour update. Harry has not responded. 24-hour update. Sorry, no Harry yet. I emailed him again asking for my 50, suggesting another 50 since the site traffic spiked during that article's run. 36-hour update. I'm beginning to think that I'm not getting my 50. Story 5 Luckily this never affected me directly, but it always bums me out to see cosmetics brands exploiting the fragile self-esteem of acne patients. I'm looking at you, Proactive and Clarisil. Buy our product and you'll be finally worth loving, you ugly piece of. Story 6 Those street vendors that try to put a bracelet on your arm as a gift and even force it on your arm if you refuse, then ask for money. They get very rude when you ignore them and they try to intimidate you. Story 7 I worked at a call center for some time. People called me to place orders and we had the opportunity to upsell related products to their order and earn some commission on it. I had a 90 offer rate and a 15 acceptance rate. I liked getting the extra money, but one time I talked an old lady into buying a pair of socks to go along with her boots she was buying, and she said something to the effect of, "Oh, well if you say so," and I felt kind of bad but didn't think much of it, until my supervisor came to me and said I listened to that call. Good job. Elderly people have lots of money and few brains, so it's easy to con them out of a few more dollars. After that day I never upsold an item to someone who seemed really old. Story 8 Currently, estate agents. I send a one-to-all email from Zoopla or one of those property sites, and in the email I stated my price range is XX. I need a place to live with a garage. I don't care how many bedrooms. I would like it to not be in the rougher areas of the city, as I need the garage for my expensive motorcycle. If it does not have a garage, don't tell to me about it. It is a deal breaker. I then got about 20 calls the next day getting put on their system, and so many were like, well, there is this property and although it doesn't have a garage, there is parking. ID stop them and say no garage. Did you read my original email? I have a property here that you could build a garage onto, true, but having spent my life savings on a new place, I won't be able to afford a garage for at least a couple of years. They are relentless. From what I understand, they try to get you booked into lots of viewings, even for places that you definitely want buy, so that the seller thinks there is lots of interest. Towards the end of the week, I just told estate agents that I wasn't looking to buy anymore. When they asked why, I told them that I was fed up with pushy estate agents not reading all 2 of the requirements for my budget. I don't have anything that meets your requirements, but I do have, well, shut up then. The requirements are things I require, preferences are things I am willing to change. Rant. Story 9 The overly enthusiastic charity collectors in London and most busy cities, really recognizable by their matching raincoats and clipboards, trying to get you to give them your direct debit information so they can take a monthly donation, usually gap year students. I have a particular hatred for the ones from Shelter who like to hang around outside my office building. Story 10 I hate when the salespeople are trained to have a particular routine they have to follow and will not deviate from. I see this a lot in the car selling industry. Hi, I would like to buy A and I've done my research and am willing to pay for it. If that's a deal, let's do it. Sales guy Hey, welcome to let me know what things you're looking for in a car so we can find the perfect model for you. I just told you exactly what I want and what I will pay for it. Sales guy Haha, sounds like you've done your research. Now what type of driving are you looking to do? If we know that, we can find you the perfect car. I just want to buy a 4. Sales guy No problem. So will you be financing? Me, I will be paying. We can talk about financing after we settle on the price. Sales guy, we can do more with the price after we know if it will be financed. Me, I already told you I will pay. Is that okay or not? Sales guy, I'm sure my manager will work with you on the financing. Now what type of driving are you going to be doing? I want to get you in the perfect car. Me dies inside. Story 11. I do what I always do. Reply, no thanks. I'm vegan, for example. One time exiting the grocery store, I was asked, would you like to help kids with leukemia? I replied, no thanks, I'm vegan. Story 12. Really persistent people who keep on. At a pet shop, there was a rep flogging a well-known dog food brand that was on offer. My dog has a grain allergy. There are only a few brands that don't end up in him scratching his ears and feet until they bleed. Would you like to try this? It's on offer. No thanks, it's a lot cheaper than usual. You could stock up. No, my dog won't eat it. If you keep offering only this for a few days, they will have to eat it. He can't, he has allergies, but this is developed by vets. But it's not hypoallergenic, is it? You can try it and see. I checked the label. The main ingredient is cereal. Even on sale, it's more expensive than the usual food. I would be paying almost double at its full cost. Despite explaining this, she still kept on. Story 13. I got a job at a department store while in high school. They assigned me to the electronics department where almost every item was eligible for the store's extended warranty. They made us sit through a seminar that was supposed to give us pointers for how to make people purchase these warranties. My two favorite suggestions were, if a person declines, simply say, perhaps I didn't explain it properly the first time. I found that most people tend to purchase the warranty once they fully understand the benefits. Allow me to go over it with you one more time. The other was that if they seem adamant about not wanting the warranty, simply look them in the eye and say, I really want you to have this, even at 16, that struck as some mob enforcement bullshit. Ma'am, I would highly recommend purchasing this to ensure that you don't have any accidents, if you know what I'm saying. Story 14. When they make a new PC Expo XPS4 game, that is, and then say, well, also add a remake of a game that everyone liked a few years back and that you really want, but to get that you need to pay $80 for the both of them. Story 15. Places like car dealerships, etc., that hike the price up expecting you to haggle, so when they lower it a bit, still usually more than its actual worth anyway, they make out like you're doing you a favor. Story 16. A door-to-door vacuum cleaner salesman rang mom's doorbell. When she opened it, he quickly introduced himself, then came inside with a vacuum to demonstrate, at which point he threw a bag of debris on the floor, plugged in the vacuum and started cleaning her room. She just looked at me in disbelief, because we couldn't get rid of him. He just kept going on and on about the attachments and suction. Story 17. When I was 9 years old, some guy with a buggy shopping cart came out of an alleyway and sold me an electric organizer for $5. He told me they were selling like hotcakes. That alone was enough to get me to buy that piece of junk. Story 18. I've worked in direct sales, so I know what's going on when they ask leading questions. The one that always makes me laugh is when the sales rep, particularly telemarketers, give you a choice, i.e. would you rather this form of insurance or this form of insurance? Story 19. In India, if you're trying to cross the road at a really busy stretch of road, and a taxi auto rickshaw person pulls up right in front of you asking if you need a ride. Story 20. Car dealerships. Most of those places have now reached timeshare level tactics. As a 27-year-old guy millennial, they do not understand how to sell to the younger generation that has been inundated with ads and drowned financially. You want to make the sale? Start with the MSRP and tell me you can knock it down from there. I don't want to pussyfoot around your games for days on end. I also don't want to come into your dealership and have you ask me for a commitment to buy a $30,000 vehicle after test driving 2 of them and spending an hour with you. They have no respect for the buyer. Also, if you can't take it when I tell you to GFY when you pretend like you're doing me a favor at $500 off the ticket price, don't whine to your boss and bring him in as the big closer. It's pathetic. Edit, and don't say, oh, those cheaper prices are online prices you're seeing for this vehicle. Online prices are now the baseline. Get used to it. Story 21. When I was in high school, I moved after my freshman year across a few states. And to make it worse, my dad had to move to another state first for job training before joining us in the new city. Because I had a really hard time making friends growing up. Leaving the group that I had finally become a part of after my freshman year was really tough. So my parents were trying to do some nice things for me as a pick-me-up. One thing was that I finally got my own furniture for my room. Previous, I had always had hand-me-downs and whatnot, from bed to storage and desks, etc. One of the things I was really excited about was getting my own bed. Since I had been using a decades-old trundle for so long, my previous room was really small, so the size was actually nice at the time. We went to a variety of mattress stores and I was getting to try out all these cool things like pillow tops and whatnot. I really liked the pillow tops because I like support but also that soft sink-in feeling they gave. We arrived at one store early on in our search and a guy was eager to show us what they had. My mom mentioned that I really enjoyed the pillow tops at the last couple stores and he brushes that off, going, pillow tops don't mean anything. It's really about the stitching or something. He has me try out a couple beds, and while some of them are comfy, none of them are standing out too much. There were some nice ones in our price range, so we were taking down information and the guy starts trying to seal the deal. Now my mom is a rather stubborn woman. If she has it in her mind that she is going to shop around and then make a decision, nothing outside of an insane deal is going to get her to walk out the door with a purchase. This guy, however, was insistent on trying to make a deal. He tried financing options, free add-ons, honoring a previous sale that was better than current sales, etc. But the entire time my mom keeps saying we have a few more stores we want to check out before we make a decision. However, no matter what my mom said, the guy kept trying over and over and over, to the point where he kept trying to lead us further into the store and away from the front doors, even to the point of walking in front of us to block our path. Finally he sighs, looks at my mom square in the eye, and goes, "What will it take for you to walk out with a mattress today?" She replies, "What part of I am going to look at a few more store before I make a final decision, did you not understand?" The guy who was nearby at the counter rather loudly goes, "They ain't buying anything. Leave 'em be." Up until this point I had been pretty quiet because my mom is a good negotiator, but this set me off and I said if we weren't ready to purchase before we sure as aren't going to now. My mom shushed me and took the guy's business card and walked out without saying another word. I asked her why she didn't say anything and she went, "Those guys work on commission. The worst thing we can do to them is not buy anything, so we'll just go somewhere else." Story 22. I've been looking for a car, a small agile one with relative much power. My budget was 10,000 and there was a young used 15,000 km Skoda Fabia RS 180 PS on that tiny car standing at the local dealer. The dealer tried to bring me in the situation where I have to convince him that I really want to buy this car. As I noticed what's going on, I told him to himself with his wannabe Jedi tricks and left the place. I don't buy anything from such manipulative. Story 23. When I bought my current car, going expecting to do the whole low-high meet in the middle shenanigans, had my initial low offer accepted via email, got excited as it was 40 under the asking price, get to showroom, actually we can't do that much of a discount. Ended up getting quite a good deal but still salty about being lied to in order to make me come to the showroom. And then another thing was my colleague getting 2 to 3 calls a week after he wrote his car off hitting a Badger, they're pretty solid apparently, asking if he wanted to make a claim against the other party involved in his accident. Story 24. Hello, I was wondering if you, fuck OFF I'm going into labor. Oh okay ma'am, good luck with the baby. Sadly, I've had the worst experiences with fundraisers, even those from usually respectable charities. It goes from passive-aggressively trying to shame me for not being interested to downright grabbing me by the arm. Maybe they'd have a better rep if they stopped making the Scientologists and Quran distributors look so polite. Story 25. I was in Biloxi with the Air Force as a young 19-year-old airman. I was shopping at the mall and this dude from a jewelry store could tell I was Air Force and I sat down and listened to his pitch. It was for Mother's Day jewelry costing maybe $500. Now for some airmen who are receiving paychecks larger than they've ever seen, myself included, locals could sell Mitsubishis and jewelry and life insurance under the guise of both the product and building credit. He asked about my mom, who had died the year prior after suffering a debilitating stroke 8 years prior to that. I did want to be a downer, so I said she's great, I love her. Well, I listened to his pitch and refused the sale. He asked if I truly loved her, then I said of course and left, very annoying. Story 26. Those kiosks in the mall selling overpriced lotions and what have you. SSSH don't tell my manager or anyone else because I could get in trouble, but it'll give you 40 off if you buy 2 or some loose variant of that. It's always them saying not to tell other customers about the discount they're giving you. Mostly because you'll find out it's just the regular price and they do it to literally everyone. Whenever I get sucked into a sales pitch I always see how long it takes for them to bring that one out. It's never longer than 5 minutes. Story 27. This guy came to my place trying to sign me up to give a little money to cancer research every month, and he said that they'd found a cure in some Amazonian plant. He was so charming and convincing that he got me to sign up. Later I looked it up and couldn't find a shred of evidence. So I had to go through an entire process to get unsubscribed from the thing. What a scam that guy was running. For a good cause I guess, but he went about it in the wrong way. Story 28. I was in a bookstore one time and there was a man in his early 20s, kind of pacing at the end of the aisle, looked like he was working up the nerve to talk to me. Finally he said, "You look very familiar. You do business in this area, don't you? Can I ask your name?" At this point, it didn't come off as a sales pitch. I honestly thought he recognized me from my work or the charity events I was a part of. I gave him my first name and he proceeds to launch into his Amway sales pitch, plugging my name into it every 10 seconds. Nope, get lost, chief, edit clarification. Story 29. Car salesman when they say I have to go check with the manager. No you don't, here's what I will pay, yes or no, that's it. I once walked out on a truck purchase over $250 difference. I told him I would do $14K, not a penny more. It was a decent price. I wasn't lowballing. He went from $16K to $15K to $15,750 to $15,500 to $15,250. Each time he had to talk to the manager, I got so pissed I just left. He said, "You are losing out on a truck over $250. I said, "No you are," and I left. Rule number 1 when shopping for a car: don't need it, be prepared to walk away. The whole "I gotta have it" will lead you to pay more than you should. Story 30. The mall kiosk people selling a salt scrub that may or may not be from the Dead Sea. They are the most obnoxious, pushy people and usually start out by pointing out flaws like dry skin or enlarged pores. Look, I know my skin isn't perfect, but you'll never get a cent out of me as long as you're a total stranger insulting my appearance. Story 31. When my bank calls me to sell me Trenta life insurance. No, I already pay you people to hold on to my money and play with it. Stop calling me at dinner time twice a week. Story 32. This has been said, but charity fundraisers. The most audacious instance of this that I have seen is one time when I was in a restaurant bar. This old feller in a parka jacket comes wandering in and goes table to table with his clipboard and donation bucket, harassing people who are literally holding food in front of their mouths, about to take a bite from their food. Needless to say, he was frog-marched out and everyone in the place cheered. Story 33 was walking through the mall one day and a face cream kiosk salesman stopped me and was like, "I see you have a bit of acne. This cream could really help it out." Naturally, I acted really offended that he pointed out my acne and told him to eat. He was stunned. I walked away laughing. I didn't give two about my acne. It would have gone away if I changed my diet, but I didn't feel like it at the time. Story 34 Jewelry stores like Jared. Some of the people that work there are horrible salespeople. I had some young smughead right out of college selling me my fiancé's engagement ring. I told him my budget, yet he kept bringing me stones and rings that were over my budget. I told him if he brought me one more ring over my budget I was walking out. When someone says they have a budget, they have a budget. It's not an invitation to try to push them higher. Story 35 Stalkers. You know the type, come up and politely ask you if you need help, etc. You say no, but tell them you'll go to them if you have any questions or ask them for their card if they have one, so you do get them. Then they follow you around and keep pestering the out of you while you go around the store lot the entire time. I've walked off of car lots because someone wouldn't leave me alone just to look when buying. Props to my last guy. Gave me his card. Didn't bother me once until I had settled on what I wanted to test drive. Walked out with the car he recommended it once I drove it. Smooth as butter and love my old man car. Respect my flipping wishes and I'll buy from you. Story 36 Got a call on my cell at work the other day. Scammy Pants. This is Scammy Pants with Microsoft. You called for help with your computer. Me no. Scammy Pants. Yes you did. You submitted a ticket with us. Me oh. Okay, which computer? Scammy Pants. Your home desktop one. Of course me. Yeah, don't own one. Remove my number from your list. Scammy Pants. Click. Story 37 I work for one of the biggest software companies in the world. I'm at work, and I get this call. Thick Indian accent. Hello. This is Steve with technical team. Me I'm with said technical team. I don't recall someone of your background named Steve working here. Him no. I'm with the operating system technical department. Me well, I know those guys, and you ain't one of them. Him now, let's go look at your PC. I think of a clever idea to figure out how much this idiot knows me. What is my machine name? Him home PC. Me blah. Boy was he wrong. Reports to security. They have since dealt with it. Thanks to me. Story 38 Not me. Well, I was involved, but my parents. I was just born and someone came past the ward selling photo packages. My father said he wasn't really interested but thanked her nonetheless. She then pipes up with, "But what if something happens to your baby? This would be a beautiful reminder. I'm sure a person has never been chased from a room quite so quickly." What a sick thing to say to someone. The fact I was an ICU baby probably didn't help my father's opinion of her. Story 39 I really hate exit pop-ups on websites. The kind that detect when your mouse is heading for the top of the screen. If I'm leaving your website, what makes you think I would want to buy something from you? Sign up for your sales email list. Story 40 Some guy from Market America tried recruiting me for his scheme to work for him even though I met him once at a Subway. After I told him I wasn't interested, he kept on going and going with his presentation. I checked my phone and went on Facebook in front of him and he still kept going. Afterwards I walked out. Few months later he calls me because I was stupid enough to give him my number, tried to recruit me again, and I kept on bringing up Radamaipu but he didn't know how to take no for an answer. Finally I told him, for every time he calls me again, I'm going to send him 10 pics. Story 41 Any sales pitch that hides as some other function, like a party. A friend of mine was taking dance lessons at a Fred Astaire dance studio. He invited me to a party they were throwing, telling me that some of the instructors were hot and single. When we get there, one of these hot instructors asks me to dance and flirts heavily. All the instructors then go into a very obvious scripted sales pitch, and then the instructor starts asking me when I'm going to start taking lessons and shows me a list of prices. I told her and my friend to off and walked out. Story 42 I really hate salespeople who try to keep me from reading the fine print. Every time I lean in to start reading the massive legal document they want me to sign, they try to summarize it for me. I regularly catch them omitting details or saying things that contradict the document. I now run interference with salespeople so my wife can read the document without interruption. Edit most recent example. Tried to buy a car, was told that I had to take at least 2 years to pay it off or there was a penalty. Started reading the document where it clearly stated payment of the loan may be completed ahead of time without penalty. I read that part out loud to the salesperson and he tried to bullshit at me for a few minutes. "Oh, we say that because it takes months for these loan papers to go through and if you pay it off right away sometimes your loan paperwork gets lost in the shuffle." Story 43 I have a bunch. People outside of Walmart dollar store begging for change for charity. Hey fool, if I had quarters to just throw away, I wouldn't be shopping at the dollar store. I need that for laundry blood, and probably because I had to do it working for calls, but soliciting credit AMD other offers. We were actually trained to stalk customers on the floor, long before they were ready to purchase and ask them to apply for credit, or at least give us an email at the register. The cashier would do it again. I have walked out of stores for being treated this way, and denied jobs for refusing to participate in such aggression selling tactics. They trained us to not take no for answer, to be as polite but persistent as possible, that, give the customer a time-limited offer, do not let them think about it or come back later. You must get a commitment at that moment. It's so annoying because it works. Sales is about harnessing emotion and impulse. This is why I simply do not buy anything in shops anymore. Why would I ask a salesperson anything when I can do research myself? Physical shops rarely stock every option. There is no point in visiting a physical shop unless you know exactly what you want, and you know that it's better to buy there than online. Story 44. I refuse to do business with someone who won't let me think over the decision. For instance, a salesman will show you a laminated price list with a ton of detail all over it that no one can really cover. The worst was when DirecTV started accosting people at Best Buy and the like. They would show you a laminated mess of channels and prices. And you had to decide right now to get the deal, usually a Best Buy gift card or something. They wouldn't give you a copy of the price list. They wouldn't give you a thing. If your pitch is that I can't take my time to make a thoughtful decision, it'll assume your product is garbage and people who actually think about it don't end up buying it. Story 45. I worked at Tiavana a few years ago, and they had a 5 times no rule we were supposed to follow. The customer was supposed to say no 5 times about a product before we gave up. Needless to say, I was one of the worst salesmen for not following that rule. Story 46. Mid-level marketing. Nothing I love more than an old sorority sister's Facebook message. Hey girl, we should catch up. Grab coffee. Then I see her photo is all unique lashes, Mary Caddy works wraps or whatever the, like, no, I didn't like you in college, and it's not my responsibility to buy stuff from you because you chose to stay at home. Story 47. I was contacting customer support for an online membership about a purchase I didn't make on my bank account statement. The rep was helpful till the end when he tried to get me to upgrade my membership. Dude, I just called about a large amount of cash being used, and it wasn't me. Why would I want to spend any money right now? Story 48. Not me, but my uncle was looking for a new car and went to a dealership where they held onto his keys while he test drove one of the cars. When he got back and asked for his keys, the salesman kept changing the subject to financing or test driving another car and wouldn't give him his keys back until he threatened to call the cops. Makes me rage just thinking about it. I can't imagine why a salesman would think someone off that much would be a good way to sell them something. Story 49. Anytime I buy or lease a new car, the salesperson pretends to have no authority whatsoever, and every step of the negotiation must go ask a manager. Your first offer comes back crumpled like garbage. You must have made the manager angry. It's all a game. Unless that rep started an hour ago, he knows exactly what he can and can't do. I understand why this dance is done, but it's time-consuming. Story 50. Any religion that tries to gain new recruits by ringing doorbells. You mean to tell me that your God told you to leave your family at home and come bother me while I was spending time with my loved ones? I think you somehow misunderstood the Divine One's instructions. Story 51. Last summer we had door-to-door salesmen coming every day. They were either trying to install solar panels or trying to change the provider for our electricity, but through National Grid. Still, it was confusing. The one selling electricity would basically lock us into a special rate that would persist year-round, instead of National Grid's ever-changing and fluctuating rate. It was bullshit though. I could see through it. One woman came to my door and said she was sent by National Grid and needed to see our bill. I was groggy from just waking up, so I gave it to her. Then she held my bill hostage and kept trying to sell me on. Finally she started copying stuff down and I ripped it out of her hands and yelled at her to leave my property. Had the audacity to put her foot in my door. I told her if she kept it there she was going to have a broken foot, and she left. Most annoying summer ever, especially since we had a newborn that woke up every time someone knocked at the door. There's a mall in Washington, D.C. we went to on a school trip there. There was a short Asian lady peddling some clothes, sunglasses, hats, etc. She followed us around demanding we buy something. OH1 DCT sure, IT $15. What size you? We have all size. No thanks, rude fucking tourist. You miss good deal. Buy DC sure $15. I only have $5. You lie. Buy T sure. I walked away and she pushed her wares onto other classmates. Story 52. I work in a pharmacy and regularly we get calls from people who ask for a boss or manager's name, then hang up and phone back maybe a few hours to a week later saying stuff like, "Hi, I'm calling on behalf of boss's name. Just wanted to see how things are going in your branch and get some recent info or figures on sales, employee numbers, etc." Never works, seeing as it's a private unit with only 14 employees and the boss works in the building. My boss loves messing with them. Story 53. My girlfriend at the time and I were walking by one of those mall kiosks. This particular one was selling wire head scratchers. Without even asking, the mother starts scratching my head. My girlfriend wanted to try it after that. We ended up getting lice. Story 54. A cancer research charity worker came up to me. Her, "Hi, would you like to donate money monthly to us?" Me, "I'm disabled and I don't work, so I can't afford to." Her, "Well, you can sign up now and pay later." Me, "You'll still be disabled and won't be working." Her, "Well, you might be better by then." I walked away at that point. Story 55. Every person that works at GameStop. No, I do not want to pre-order any games. No, I do not want to buy the DLC for this game. No, I don't want to have my game covered for damage. No, I don't want to pay for a subscription to your crappy magazine. It's just a never-ending list of questions with them. Story 56. I get this a lot from dudes on the street trying to sell their terrible mixtapes. "Do you like good music?" I always say no, and about a third of the time I get called some version of for it. Story 57. I was walking in Shinjuku with my friend after having a few drinks. This scam-filled bar owner comes up to us. Scam-filled bar owner, "Hey guys, do you want to see some titties?" Me, "No thank you." Scam-filled bar owner, "Are you sure? We got dat good pussy." Me, I said no. Scam-filled bar owner, "I got gay bars too." Me, "No titties. No pussies and no cockes either." He then followed us for about 15 minutes trying to convince us to go until we managed to lose him in the crowd. Story 58. It seems that pretty much every other website these days has some big pop-up that fills the entire screen as soon as you load their page, asking for your email address to subscribe for their newsletter or blog or whatever. I mean, the fact that everyone is doing it now must mean it works as a tactic, but it's super annoying, and if I had been considering signing up, that tactic makes me change my mind out of sheer spite. Oh yeah, I was going to subscribe, but not now since you're going to be pushy about it. When I was about 13, I had saved up my money and was going to buy my first computer. I had done research about the computer specs I wanted and the price I wanted to pay. Being 13, I had to have my dad drive me to the store, but the purchase was all mine. We got to Circuit City, where all of the employees worked on commission. I kept trying to find someone to talk to about my purchase, and all of the salesmen waved me off. Finally, I found my dad in another part of the store and brought him over. He got the immediate attention of a salesman, and told him I was interested in making a purchase. I took over from there, and started asking questions about a few deals they had going on. After every question of mine, the salesman turned to my dad and answered it. He'd also try and upsell my dad. My dad would redirect the salesman back to me, as it was my money and my purchase. After about 10 minutes of this back and forth, I decided to take my money elsewhere. The new store was much better. The salesman addressed me directly, answered all of my questions, kept me within my specified budget, and even got me an unadvertised student discount on top of the bundle deal I was getting. I assumed the whole first interaction was because I was a kid and no one takes kids seriously. However, as an adult, I found I have the same types of interactions far too often, except my dad is substituted by my husband, because women know nothing about computer scarcity big purchases. Also, it's no wonder Circuit City went out of business, as I never successfully bought anything more than a CD there due to their incompetent salesfolk, TLDR salesmen who only talk to the man you brought with you to the store.